that you need to sit and think about a lot of the time.
Yeah, I saw him out there a few minutes ago before the round started. Guess what he was doing?
Eating a banana.
He was actually eating. I challenged him about it. He said he's saving the bananas for the game, but he was eating bread and
eating.
He just eats.
Yeah,
a lot.
Just eats. Just King Mukla.
Seems to work. Strangely enough, having energy at the end of a 12, 14-hour day is a good thing to have.
It's also a comfort thing, right? If you naturally like sit and just like eat some stuff when you're playing, and that's just your normal playing environment, then why not replicate it? So we'll see what's going on here. Liveon is going to be playing the Murloc Paladin. See the pretty good opening there of the 1-2-2-3, and Stancifka is on his Miracle Rogue. So we get to see some more Miracle Rogue now. I believe that is Druid that lost to the Murloc Paladin, and normally Murloc Paladin's a very good matchup versus Jade Druid, and maybe not as good matchup versus aggro, and Sifka strikes me as a Jade Druid player overall. So
does he? Because it's good.
Over aggro.
Yeah, because it's good, not because he strikes me as that sort of player, right?
It's like long thought, like, however much people that joke about Jade Druid being very straightforward, I've actually seen a lot of games be thrown due to misplays of Jade Druid.
Especially at the end against Paladin. That happens more than once in streams recently. Sifka also at DreamHack Summer. He brought Jade Druid with the Moonfire, Pyromancer, Acolyte of Pain package, which is a little bit better against Paladin, but it's a little bit worse. It's a lot worse in the mirror.
Yep.
And today you don't want to be bad in the Druid mirror on this particular day of Hearthstone.
Unless you're banning it.
Unless you are
which
banning
Sifka is not, of course. We can see Liveon does have it as an option. But first, he's got to get a win with the Rogue. And I'll tell you what, we've not seen a good chunk of this Paladin deck yet, because we did miss the first game, because we were cast in the previous series. But if this is Hoy's list, I just love it. I just think it's one of the best lists in the game at the moment. I think it's insane.
One thing I'm enjoying about Hearthstone across 4 or 5 classes is this weird range. Like, it's not an early game or late game deck where you start off with good 1-drops and 2-drops because you want to get the board.
Yeah.
And then you realise that Azure Drake isn't a card anymore, so you forget about the 5-drop completely. And then you put in sort of some good late game stuff, and that Hoy deck fits exactly into that category.
Yeah, I really like it. See the value train of Hydrologist getting played out now. I do feel like Rogue does have a pretty decent matchup though, as long as it doesn't, if you're this Paladin deck and you play Murlocs on curve and then like Megasaur with Wind Fury plus attack, yes, you probably win most matchups, but in general, I feel like Rogue's definitely got a chance.
It's interesting, right, because Rogue, I don't know, 6 months ago, we'd be saying, yeah, it just kills anything that puts some minions on the board early. It's just going to wipe them all out with all its stuff. And now it has better stuff, and it can still just lose. Like you say, Rockpool Hunter is insanely powerful, but on its own, suddenly, not so good.
Also as well, Vilespine, very good versus like Tyrion.
Yeah.
Straight up removal. And because if this is like Hoy's style or version, generally the more aggressive lists generally don't Ronaldo or Peacekeeper. So the Giants are Giants, and it doesn't run equality. So it's like, well, the Giants are just going to get there a lot of the time if they can come down on the board early enough. But look at this opening. This is why the deck's so strong.
We've been talking about how easy it is to deal with the Murlocs until they go crazy. These Murlocs have gone crazy. And there's still plenty more fish in the sea as well.
Yeah. Are Murlocs fish?
I always call them fish because I'm aware that is like really insulting. Okay. I don't like Murlocs.
Maybe amphibians?
I think they're fish.
They eat fish, right?
They're cannibal fish.
Strange. This play is nice, though. The Petal plus the SI7 agent. The SI actually challenges this board on its own. And then you start having stuff like, Swashbuckler, Coin, Vilespine next turn.
Nobody plays Sap anymore, right? Because Vilespine is just better.
Yeah, it definitely is.
But it is awkward against these sort of cards, but yeah. How have we managed to get a card that's better than Sap sneak under the radar for so long until maybe 6 weeks?
It does ask something of you, and Sap is always insane in the early tempo. Yeah. Especially, remember the Rogue Mirror when there was Tomb Pillagers? And it's like, they play Tomb Pillager, then you play Tomb Pillager, prep Sap, and just win. Because they can never catch up again. That's what Sap was very good at. Same against Hunter. If Hunter played, you almost couldn't play High Main against Hunter, against Rogue, because they're 2-mana Sap done. Whereas Vilespine comes down, you're like, well, that's fine, I have two hyenas, like, sick.
I think, again, Vilespine's another of those cards that was slightly overlooked. I know people did. I know Admirable really liked it, but it looked like it was going to be a bit slow and value-based. But, hey, look at the meta we're in.
Yeah, and look at these draws. Mimic Pod into double coin. into Swashbuckler Rag.
Well, if anybody's going to get on well with this hand, it's Sifka. Look, what a collection of weirdness.
Well, he could just coin, Rag, coin, and Noble Sacrifice next turn if he really wants.
Who's the Paladin now?
Yeah. Although knowing Sifka, he'll probably go for a bit more of a value game, which means that he might wait for the gadgets ends. But can he wait? You know, with this Mega Sword comes down. Mega Sword comes down now and causes havoc. +1/+1 is the most damage. Divine Shield's more sustain. But the thing is, you know, what's Rogue really going to do to you in terms of AoE? It isn't.
It's looking pretty brutal on this side of the board now. And if Sifka loses this, we've said it before, if you lose your counter Q, you're sometimes in a world of pain.
I think he'll have Paladin as a mirror match. But again, knowing Sifka, it's probably something like N'Zoth.
Yeah, that's not
and
ideal.
It's just too slow.
The Murloc's health just get out of range on the aggro Murloc too quickly.
Okay,
not over
so
yet, though. We're ruling out one of the best players in the world in a situation that...
well, it's almost over.
Yeah.
That Vine Cleaver is a bit of a problem.
All right.
And now seeing Vine Cleaver feels like this is Hoy's list. Yeah, if you play Curate and we saw Deathwing, then we just know for sure. Huh.
Well, the Vine Cleaver synergizes so well with Deathwing, which is why you often see it in that list.
Sure.
Because you've still got something effectively in your hand to produce things after you empty your hand. Whereas normal weapons are just a weapon, this thing's actually refilling your board to recover yourself from the Deathwing. Because you quite often have to kill some of your own stuff as well.
Yeah. So this, Oh, he's checking the secret, yeah. This Redemption, you'll be able to just prep Fan now. See what he draws, but he does need to draw a miracle. It is the name of the deck, but it would have to be one crazy miracle to get Sifka out of this bit of a dicey moment he's in.
And it's not the focal point of the deck like it used to be. Like the Miracle turn used to be the huge focal point of this deck, whereas now actually it's like setting up your giants and getting the value a lot more slowly than you used to.
One off lethal. So now, Liveon can actually just chum, play the Vine Cleaver, put the 1/1 into Rag, and then just go face. It gives you a 50-50 chance at not getting a Rag, not healing himself. Okay, he's just going to kill, sure. I mean, yeah, this is fine. I guess this removes, like, weird things happening of, like, Rag hitting face, and then there's some kind of, like, halfway clear or something.
Yeah.
This just puts your opponent to 9, and now damage permanence is back on the table because Rag's off the table. But yeah, Sifka, not the best draw in the world here.
Yeah, this is where those hands just sometimes fall apart unless you get going with the Auctioneer.
Oh, well.
He's going quick.
He has to, because there's so much he needs to do. Oh, if this happened like 1 turn, 2 turns earlier.
It's so sick, like 100 Edwin. This thing's going to be huge, right?
This,
it's not going to matter.
3 for 5. There's 9 still.
I just want to see how big the Edwin is.
Now there's only 8. See, if this is the 3-3.
Oh my God, is this happening, Raven?
There's a giant. This is why the deck's called Miracle Rogue, guys.
There's the Miracle turn that you don't get so much energy. How big is this area? It's just stupid sized.
So 2020, there needs to be 1 draw. Oh, Spite Ridge is just going to do it. After all that, the well played from Liveon. Spite Ridged on a Spite Ridged. It's a Dino riding a Dino with a Murloc on top for good measure, and it is going to end the game then. Liveon goes 2-0 up with this Murloc Paladin, and Sifka nearly did it. He had, what, 30, how much, 28, 32 power
30 lots
on the board.
And the key to Sifka's turn was how quickly he realized, look, if I win this, I need to be fast.
You know what was nuts? Sifka had Valspine Slayer in hand as well. So he had 32 power, plus Valspine to remove 1 of the Spite Ridge.
Wow.
So if that second draw wasn't Spite Ridged, he'd lose, like, how much damage? He'd put a Giant into it, plus whatever he draws.
1 million.
He would have 24 damage, and I believe Liveon was at around 24. He could have won that game.
20. Yeah, and he knew that the reason he played so quickly that turn is he knew that the number of things that had to go right involved him playing quickly.
Yeah.
And they went right, but unfortunately for him, the very last draw, which was Liveon's draw, finished off the deal, and now he's going to have to play at the very best a mirror match. Don't know if you keep Hydrologist here if you're Liveon. It's a difficult call.
Really fish for a 1-drop.
It's a difficult call.
Okay, so now Primordial Drake looks, and the equality looks like this is a control version from Sifka, or more of a control version than Hoy's list. And Liveon really does look like he's playing Hoiseless from this point. The Vine Cleaver kind of gives it a big nod.
Throws the hydraulics. I actually agree with. I think that's decent because you're looking for Rockpool Hunter or one drops or better stuff.
Okay, Liveon has to play this game off the top of his deck now.
Right.
Because double Conk Tyrion is the hand Sifka wants him to have. But I said he's going to play it off the top, and Liveon's doing pretty okay now. 2-drop into Rockpool, not too shabby. He can play the secret with it as well next turn.
Yeah, just from nowhere, those 2 pickups have put him in a fairly decent-looking position.
When does Sifka ever Rallying Blades?
I was going to say no, but picking up the True Silver means he would have a weapon for the foreseeable future.
He could just swing for the next 4 turns straight.
Yeah, so maybe that'll encourage him to actually do
it.
it.
I like it, actually. Because guess what your opponent's going to play next turn?
Yeah, it might be Murloc.
Yeah. Also, if it's War Leader, you double up. If War Leader comes down next turn, you didn't Rallying Blade. Rallying Blade only kills the War Leader, and there's still you get hit for 4 and then for 2.
And also, this just kills their curve. It kills War Leader, kills Megasaur with the 4 on 4
and then, like,
well,
this stops them War Leader in on 3, as you said. You know, this just solves so many problems, this Rallying Blade. It's kind of cool to see it in the deck and in the game at the moment.
Yeah, I like the fact that key numbers are being used. It's like this card is basically a slightly worse True Silver if you just go by people who do things precisely on the stats. But it's like, hey, everything's got 3 health right now. Let's go for the thing that's cheaper, that kills things the same way that True Silver kills things.
It's one of those things where, like, if tons of powerful stuff had 2 health, which sounds kind of weird, but, like, would Flame Geyser be used?
Yeah, for sure.
You know, because, like, that's just a good card. It's just not better than Frostbolt, but do you ever use them both?
And that's why sometimes I'm a bit surprised to see double Consecration here. Like, what does it kill?
Yeah.
In the current meta, it doesn't kill much.
It mainly helps with trades, right? I think that's the trick. You meant to have the board, so then Conk can get trades through.
Yeah.
Now this, you know, there's 4 turns of weapon damage coming in strong here.
But all of these decisions are being made not just on pure stats anymore. People are having to look at the meta and really build decks to play against the meta, which isn't stable. The meta's unstable. It's cracking.
It's a mess. I love it.
I love it too. Like,
ooh, okay. This Stonehill is actually pretty decent here. Oh, just went crazy with the thing for a second there. Was that Tyrion? Yeah, it was.
It's always Tyrion. Double Tyrion.
Why not? I mean, Sifka's playing the control deck, right? So double Tyrion's the sort of thing that will just, like, win the game for you at that point.
Yeah, I mean, it's just nuts. It's one of the best cards in Hearthstone when it comes to pure value. The reason it got left out of UK Paladin, which is the Jombre list, is just because you have so many weapons that he didn't want another... Like, he thought that the Ashbringer basically was devalued so much that Tyrion became not worthwhile.
Also, you kill him before turn 8, right?
You might.
It's an aggro deck.
Every deck's an aggro deck for you. Yep. He's got a number on it, it's an aggro card.
It's like Taunt Warrior. Goes face with a hero power, right? I got tips from Tyler.
Just kill him. All right, so it's starting to look a bit difficult here, but he has his own decent minions. The way the draw has gone, actually, this slightly slow draw for Liveon might actually be okay for him, but all the answers in Sifka's hand at the minute.
I think he's going to really be crossing his fingers for Curator.
Yeah.
And I said, you know what's really funny? I said, oh, Liveon's going to have to play off the top of his deck for this game. The only cards in his hand are his starting 3 cards.
Right, so he's playing every turn.
Yeah, he's literally got double Conk Tyrion, the 3 cards he started the game with, and he still has them in hand, and it's turn 8 next turn. So he will be able to play out that Tyrion or double Conk if required.
So Sifka knows that Tyrion's coming next turn. If he's,
I would be surprised.
Cards,
yeah,
he does track cards. He just knows his opening hand is 3 unplayable cards, one of which is probably Tyrion, because what else could it be? You probably can't nail the entire hand because double Consecration is just too much of a reach, but I bet he works out a decent chunk of this. Turnaround has begun. And this is where the Murlocs look a bit sad.
Yeah, Tyrion can make some good stuff happen, though. Depending on what Stancifka chooses to answer, he's just going to go Tyrion for Tyrion. Just trade him to pop the shield, but Liveon can actually pop the shield as well with this Consecrate, so they can do even trades here.
Liveon will get the first attack in. Oh.
Okay, playing this wall leader out in the hero power with only the Ashbringer equipped for Sifka means that the odds on Liveon landing a Spite Ridge is actually, you know, reasonable.
Yep.
And then if he does land a Spite Ridge, then suddenly his Ashbringer's kind of whack.
Kind of whack.
Yeah, I'm going with
It's
the
really good.
80s/90s slang.
Yeah, I wasn't very young at the time, so I
you were still old.
I was still old in the 80s and 90s, I'm afraid, guys.
I was born in the 80s.
Yeah? Oh, well, we'll use that against you in about 10 years' time.
Okay.
So Sifka's got plenty of play here still, though. He can heal for as much as he wants. He can make things smaller.
Yeah, the issue is for Sifka to like try and play around Spite Ridged, it means he has to do a very inefficient turn. He has to like consecrate this 1-1, which feels very dumb indeed. But is he going to? Spite Ridge changed everything. Look, Sifka's on 5. Oh, he can just play Drake. What am I talking about? He can play Drake. Drake seems like by far the safest option. You need to live through the Ashbringer and through a potential minion.
Sorry, yeah, I just
Ooh,
completely zoned for a second there. So he's going to heal and just outvalue the rest of his games. Like, how can you do this much damage whilst I'm developing these cards I've had in my hand all game? How can you actually deal with that in the real world? You've used your Tyrion, yeah, you've still got the Ashbringer, but I can develop faster than you can from this point on.
Yeah,
what
I mean,
he's saying.
to be fair, though, this Spite Ridge, like, makes Ashbringer so bad. I mean, yeah, swing Consecrate, sure, but... Ragnaros.
That helps.
It's pretty good, though.
Seems like a decent card to play at this juncture.
If you do, though, you are quitting the actual killing of minions this turn.
But he did that the time before as well with the... Well, he'd refused to develop the turn he forbidden healings. And this is kind of similar, and you develop an 8/8.
You could just equality... no, he wants to save equality in Drake. Maybe you just equality Drake this turn.
What does he put that left-hand card on? Like, I don't want to read too much into these, but that has been there since turn 1 in hand. He's seen that one of them was a consecration. He's seen the other, the second one that didn't get played forever was Tyrion. He must have this on a very narrow range, indeed.
Maybe a second Spite Ridged.
Sure.
Because, you know, you've seen one pretty much as early as one could be played out in this game. So maybe second Spite Ridged. Other than that, frankly, not a lot. Because Murlocs would have been dropped. You know, there would have been almost everything played here.
Yeah, you could put it as Primordial. There's one of those in the hand anyway, but yeah. I sometimes wish I could just find out, what did you think that card was? Did you care this card had been in his hand the whole game?
Let's go back in time. Oh, it looked like a bit of indecision there from Liveon as he was like not 100% sure going on.
Feels this board can get there. Not sure about that.
This 1-1 recruit is saying, bring it, Kodo.
Yeah, here comes just the Drake of Doom.
Yeah, this is the old equality Drake is back-breaking in a lot of matchups.
Drake, I think this is cool.
Yeah. See what Liveon's got, though. Might have something left.
Yeah,
Finja. Being a ninja isn't even going to stop this happening.
Yeah, it's just going to get Kodo'd. It's going to get stamped on.
But there are 3 targets for Kodo, so maybe not.
Bump, Consecration, Kodo.
I think Kodo first, right? YOLO.
Why not? The Raven way.
Well, I'm thinking you could put your opponent to 2 if you Kodo.
Sure.
And then, because you can equip the weapon.
Sure.
And then just conk next turn for the game.
Yeah.
And it's really not the end of the world if you miss. I really don't think it is. I'm going for conk, though. Just going to guarantee it, I guess.
I think he thinks that this is the only a freak, weird set of Murlocs plus a card in hand kills me. Let's just win next turn. What beats this? Yeah,
this is actually very just better. Just a full board clear. There's 7 damage on the board. That's going to be a concede. And Stancifka is going to start to fight back. He did have the Rallying Blade available as well. And Liveon just ran out of juice at the wrong time in that game. Just couldn't quite get there.
So still 2-1. And Liveon's going to be able to get his pick into this control-ish Paladin. Didn't seem super slow, but definitely slow-ish with equalities going.
I mean, it has Forbidden Healing in it, so it's pretty slow.
Yeah.
And Ragnaros. A lot of Paladins have dropped Ragnaros that aren't control.
Means that Druid seems to be the natural choice. But Liveon needs to work out exactly what's in there. He's trying to...
I think Shaman's a fine matchup.
Yeah.
Loads of people, I think, well, not loads. A good chunk of people think Paladin beats Shaman, and I just don't think it does.
Paladin, Shaman, what, the slower Paladin?
You end up having to consecrate.
I don't think it
you end up having to like consecrate a board of nothing, and then you're like, oh, okay, I'm dead.
A board of something.
Yeah, and then you just kill him.
I agree. I think Shaman's favourite, and I know we're in the minority, Raven. They're going to gang up on us and tell us we're wrong, but I think we're right.
I don't care. Everyone tells me I'm wrong so often, I'm become immune. So I actually just no longer care. But we are going to be going into the next game where it is the Druid that is picked from Liveon. It's going to be the Jade Druid from the opening hands. Wild Growth, Jade Blossom, Coin.
Yep, I love this hand.
Name a more iconic trio.
Don't make me do this. There they go.
Actually beat Sol on that. You wouldn't have heard it because you weren't listening to the cast.
I didn't hear it.
Sol, I can't remember what his comparison was, but he was like, this and this, name a more iconic duo. I was like, Raven and Sol. And he was like, yeah, okay, you got me. Like, yes.
He did that to me one time. He just went quiet for like 5 minutes. I'm like, hey, this is the best cast with Sol I've ever had.
Wow. Okay, well.
You can't hear us, it's fine.
Well, that's it. Unless he's watching the stream, and then that's a problem. Sifka does have just the Pyro on 2 to contest this 1-1. And if your opponent hero powers, you're often okay with that. And as Liveon, he might just skip it anyway. So maybe the Pyro gets some work done.
Just worth pointing out here how he saved this Wild Growth as well. You can quite often just coin Wild Growth into Jade Blossom is a really good opener. It's not a waste of coin like normal Wild Growth plays or coin plays. And he's actually chosen to get that board presence down before all the other stuff because of the nature of his opponent. There's just no hurry here.
Yeah, he's just got the time. Can hold on to the coin for maybe a bigger play later on, or to just use it with Gajazan.
Can also, which I don't think he will, but there's also the option to keep the Wild Growth until turn 10 and just get super value. But what's more value than 8 mana over the next 8 turns?
Let's not be too crazy.
I like being crazy.
You can coin into Nourish next turn if he really wants to, or he can just off-curve Jade Blossom into Aya, which is also a pretty reasonable option.
And yeah, okay. The game's just going nuts straight away here because Aya and Behemoth.
There is, in fact, Tarim though. So Tarim can create that one big swing turn you need. And for me, it's less about reducing the Jades down and more about buffing up tons of little dudes and saying, I'm just going to kill you, Druid, you know, like, and go really aggressive.
See which way he decides to go here.
I mean, Jades, anyone? Does anyone like the color green?
All the double Jades.
I definitely like Aya now. Aya now makes your other Jade cards way more impactful because you double stack the Jades.
I quite like saving the Aya personally because after the Equality Consecration or the Tarim happens, then you can Aya and it's like just a major problem.
Yeah, I guess.
Or if you get a massive wide board and they haven't dealt with it, then you can Aya and they can't kill your board twice.
Sure.
But I quite like saving Aya in this situation. Against aggro, you go the other way and you save the taunt for later.
Well, I kind of like Aya as well because you force the True Silver swing, and swinging it into Aya is kind of terrible, but you also kind of have to do it, right? Like, you know.
Yeah, we saw a play earlier in the previous series, in the previous cast, where somebody basically killed a 5-3 and turned it into a 7-7 just because you have to do it at some point, so you took it into your own hands. It's never pleasant. So I like playing Jades.
Now just these 1-1s just not getting work done at the moment. And I would imagine we see double trade here because we are going into Spite Ridge Steed territory. We've ventured that far into the
coin trade,
the Ungoro lands. And this, without equality now, you struggle to see how this is going to be doable for Sifka because yes, there's Tarim, but without a board, it's way worse.
And even with equality, the Aya minion's going to be a 5-5, and you can drop Jade Spirits.
Yeah.
And then running. Where's your second equality?
Oh no, I'm running out of cards. Oh wait, double Nourish. Get him. Yeah, this is tough. Those 1-1s needed to live this turn, and then Tarim needed to come down, and then you're at least in business. But at the moment, everything is lined up very well for Liveon here.
Yeah, and it's just looking fantastic. How can Sifka begin to do this? He's got to try and get something to stick on board. And unfortunately, the only thing that sticks on board is a Pyromancer, which he really needs for equality.
Just have to play the Tarim and stay away. Just going to go for it. And now look at this turn as well. Not going to go off, I imagine, with the with the Gadget Zan, unless he wants to Gadget Zan coin Feral Rage for damage and keep 2 of the 3/3s on the board instead of having to double trade hero power. But I do think Nourish is probably a little bit more valuable.
Yeah, and he is just going to go for that Nourish, draw himself a whole bunch of cards, and just get this. I mean, it's at the stage now he can do what you like, basically, to be honest.
He is going to use the Feral Rage to trade, and now he has a double Gadget Zan, he has Coin, Earthen Scales, Wrath, all cards that synergize very well, and Stancifka has a dream at this moment in time, and that dream is to hopefully not lose this series, but I don't think it's going to go his way.
But then we said that about the Miracle game. Oh!
Stancifka things!
Let's just play Pirates in not UK Pally. This is actually super slow Pally with a pirate in it.
Yeah, so what I will say is, yeah, you know, we keep saying UK Paladin, a UK player called Jambray finished rank 1 legend last season with an aggressive Paladin list that runs Corsair, runs patches, and Stancifka is just rocketed in his control deck. And one, it's Stancifka, and I said at the start of this series, I love casting Stancifka because there's just silly things happen oftenly. But oftenly, my new word. But I do think that Corsair, if you're ever worried about aggressive decks, the second you do this style of turn, like early on, then you're like, well, you know, okay, I gained a taunt, a 1/1 to trade, and I have a weapon equipped.
Yeah,
like, that's a pretty big turn.
He's playing the double Rallying Blade. We've seen 1 true silver. There's presumably 2. And then the Corsair thing, like you say, just helps you get wide enough to defend early.
Well, it's helped him not die yet this game, so that's looking pretty good.
One of the fairly common themes about Stancifka things, and there aren't many because Stancifka's very unpredictable, but he does tend to have weird ways of controlling early boards. Like Pyro, Moonfire in Druid, even Blood Bloom into Doom is actually another way of controlling an early board as well as a late one.
Call that combo Blood Doom.
Blood Doom. Easy for you to say.
Funny because it sounds similar to the 2 spells, in case you needed to explain it.
Oh, okay, that's how it works, is it? So yeah, a lot of his weirdness does revolve around controlling very early games of Hearthstone. But intertwined with all that, he still manages to have huge amounts of synergy with the stuff he uses. So it's not just as simple as, oh, I kill things early better than other people.
Yeah.
There's a lot more in it than that.
This game is really funky now after that Corsair. Especially with the Spike Ridge, it's such like an awkward shape to deal with, even for the, you know, Liveon's Jade Druid. And now you can make it even more awkward if you just Aldors the 6/6.
He's got...
Unless you drop.
It's always this huge game of chicken when you're playing Control Paladin against the Druid. The quicker you do your stuff, just the bigger thing that doesn't get dealt with. But if you don't do it early enough, you die to the smaller thing anyway. From where Liveon's sat, he's got to find a way of working out how he loses. And one way you lose actually sometimes against Control Paladin is like by not putting enough Jades down on your Auctioneer turns. Maybe holding one back because you're scared of equality or timing. Like I said earlier, I've seen people lose games more than once in that way.
Okay. Well, Liveon's got a lot of options now with this Gadget Zan.
Draw loads of cards and go face, that's his option.
There's 1 Jade Idol left, and that is it. So he'll have to think about how he wants this to work, because we've seen Paladins actually just edge a Druid sometimes by they get to the point where they can only ever summon 1 Jade a turn, and Paladin puts enough little stuff in the way. It becomes a bit of a problem. Yeah,
you have to be very careful when you get to this end game to put enough Jades down to get through a surprise Tyrion or a surprise other Divine Shield.
Oh,
surprise taunt. But you also have to put not enough down that you just get a quality comp. And people just mess it up very often.
I mean, the difference between that can be 1 minion, right?
Yeah.
And that's the problem. Like, 1 minion extra might be the 1 minion extra that loses you the game in the end, because that's classed as overcommitting.
Yeah, it does come down tight, and people tend to undercommit to people who haven't played the matchup a million times.
So the swipe makes this lineup pretty well, actually. You can swipe the Corsair, put it to 5, which means the 5/5 deals with it, and then the swipe does the 1 damage to the Tyrion, so you don't have to throw the Jade Spirit away. It's looking fair. Ooh, innovate into 2 potential one spells, but doesn't need to do them this time. Makes this trade a little bit cleaner as he just gets it in on time. But he does have Gadget Zan number 2 plus Jade Idol plus Earthen Scales again next turn if he really needs it.
Yeah, the Earthen Scales is massive here. That's the deal breaker, I think. He's got a bigger hand size, he's got a better board, and the only thing that was changing this game around was that Ashbringer. But the Earthen Scales basically counters it without Stancifka even knowing it's being countered at this point.
And there's a Jade Behemoth, which is a nightmare for Paladin and a lot of classes to deal with, actually. That 6 health being a bit of a pain.
I've got to get rid of that Auctioneer, because otherwise it's going to do countless damage. If you allow Liveon to start going nuts with the Auctioneer, you don't even have the problem of do you have enough minions, you just have all of the minions.
And I've got to be honest, and I'm going to say this, Stancifka having double pyro and not drawing a single equality in this game is very rough. And even a Consecrate's not been drawn.
The words of a fanboy.
I'm just saying, in a matchup, you really need equality to open up a window, and equality not being drawn with, you know, players on 10 and to 15 cards, I guess, halfway through your deck. And it's the non-equalities plus having double pyro. Like, combine those together, and that is just an unfortunate game.
And I do feel that Liveon's hand was spectacular anyway, which is why I wasn't too bothered about the equalities. You're right, it would have been a much better game if he'd got them that Starfire.
So, in all seriousness, Liveon is probably a little bit upset to draw that Starfire, because we haven't seen that yet.
Well, he put it in his deck, not me.
Yeah, but all right. That's Glinda playing the serious blame game going on here. But what I mean is, because he's on stream, people can watch this and say he runs Starfire now, whereas Liveon probably would have been happy for that to be the last card and it never be shown, because we have not seen that yet. And we did go in, and earlier on, Liveon was winning with his Paladin. So this is the Jade Druid, the first Jade Druid game. So we wouldn't have seen it.
Starfire does sneak in and out of Druid just occasionally. We see it to deal with wide boards that Druid just can't deal with.
Oh, well, there's a Consecrate at last.
But it looks like, I don't know what Stancifka's 4th deck is, but it looks like Shaman could have been banned here.
I think that'll be a fairly reasonable ban.
It seems to just beat his lineup. So.
Well, it's like Shaman's like mirror match, Murloc Paladin, and Jade Druid. So I would actually be okay playing Shaman against that lineup.
So it may be in there just for a little bit of Shaman, actually, in case he ends up having to ban something else.
Swipe is just sick. Just swipe Jade Spirit, swipe Behemoth.
Yeah, you've got the Fandor Jade as well, which you don't want early in the game, but late in the game, it's such an efficient way of acting as a third Auctioneer in a lot of ways, just to fill that deck back up without you missing a tempo step. Again, those extra minions we've been talking that you might need if it does go wrong, that's just another version of keeping the minions.
One thing that's kind of funny about, I kind of get this, because one thing that's a little bit funny about Stancifka not drawing equality is that Liveon still has to worry about equality.
Sure.
If he just commits onto the board, equality can't comes down, equality pyro comes down, the board's wiped, and then he's not quick enough to get back on it, it could slip away. I'm not saying it will.
No,
it's a long shot, but it's something he does have to think about. So now, he kept the Ire alive using the Starfall, sorry, because now to kill it, Stancifka either has to proc the 1 damage or swing into it, and it's like, okay, swing into my 4 damage Ire on 9 health.
Meanwhile, this Ire came down on turn 6.
Yes.
Turn 5 was the Behemoth, right? Turn 6 was the Ire.
Yeah.
She's hung around a while. She's done a fair share of work in this game.
Ire just gets the work done. She's awesome. But yeah, like this equality's not being drawn is kind of puts Liveon in a funky position, in that he's like, okay, this is enough damage, and then I've got to do just enough damage again, just enough again. Whereas if you'd seen the equality played, everyone would just be like, okay, all in.
And this is the position we've seen messed up more than once. But what Liveon has done is that Nourish. Remember on about turn 7, so you've got double Nourish. He saved this one, so if he gets in a situation really late where he needs to draw exactly 3 golems in a turn to keep the pressure on, he can shuffle and still draw 3 of them in the same turn.
Or at least 2, say. You know.
Yeah, play 2, then the next turn play 2 more, because 2 is usually the magic number, and that means that no amount of equality comps are going to do it.
But
I don't do music. So...
Sottle gave me a half nod then.
Oh, where's Sottle? He's that Sottle bloke.
It was a look of disapproval.
Wow.
Wow. Anyway.
Be quiet, you.
Back to the real world where Sottle doesn't exist. And yeah, that's basically the play. You save this Noise, but he has actually chosen to use it early, feeling like he can end it now.
Does have the Feral Rage for just a lot of damage from hand. And I say a lot being 4.
It's definitely a lot.
But 4 is a lot when it's, you know, 2/3 of the total health of your opponent.
This is just silly, by the way, this particular turn.
Angel's a great card. Now just look, I mean, Liveon, especially with that second Nourish, has just got so many resources available.
Still got card draw with that Blood Mage Thalnos for the thing we keep talking about, the bit where it can go wrong at the very end game. I don't think it's going to go wrong this time, but just make sure he's got card draw.
I kind of want to know how many cards Stancifka has left. Someone who's spectating can show me. That would be pretty good. But yeah, like, that would be kind of nuts, because just 2 pyros from like what, turn 2, turn 3?
Yeah.
And just yeah, because he could have played.
And we've seen the qualities in the previous game. It's not like he's forgotten to put them in his deck, like, you know, some people maybe forget to put secrets in their deck.
In my control panel, I've cut 2 equalities for the Corsair and Patches combo. You'll be like, what? Surely not.
Yeah.
I'd love it if he has.
Cards.
There are 14 left.
Sottle decided to mime the 14 and then to say cards anyway. So that was really impressive.
I just got to start waving his hands at me. I'm like, I don't understand sign language.
You must understand Sottle's sign language as we watch this play out, by the way.
Yeah, this is
by now.
This is not over from Sivka's point, but we can see it is over. There is a foul rage, and that is going to be the game. And Liveon beats down Stancifka. So we've got to say, in this round of the stream matches, we've kind of seen 2 on-paper upsets with, you know, the history that Sivka and Nyria have.
Yep.
They've been beat. We know Liveon. We don't know much about Pool 8, but, you know, both these players are, you know, not favored on paper in terms of past experience, but both players have got it done, and Sivka looking a little bit upset there, just sort of head down like, awkward.
And again, the Jade Druid coming in clutch, right? It seems to be the big breakout deck of this tournament, which a lot of people predicted, I guess, you know, being very well positioned because of the Quest Rogue nerf for the variety of reasons that we've gone through already. But I want to talk a little bit about Liveon's play there. He did emerge victorious, and I think in general, the lines of play that he took were fine for the most part. But he looked a little bit anxious in his actions, a little bit undecided a lot of the time. He was kind of mousing over multiple cards and then bailing himself out and checking the amount of cards in deck, and like his auctioneer sequencing was a bit shaky at times. Like that innovate that came off the top very late there, and he actually just had to bail himself out all of a sudden. So I don't know if you guys have any more experience like seeing in front of a camera. I haven't really got to watch him play that often.
But I think that's the point. I think that he's a guy that we all know is good at Hearthstone. We've seen him around. Viewers will recognise the face from places from here and there. But this is the first time he's had a chance to beat a big name on camera and prove it to you guys, to the people who don't necessarily see every single tournament.
If you want a real indication of the fact that he's not used to playing on the stream stations, look no further than the fact he was taking screenshots of his wins, even though he was on stream.
Yeah, I just want to prove I got this win. It's like, yeah, we have the vote.
Yeah, sorry, we can check it. It's good. You're covered, mate. No one's going to scam you.
But I do think as well that, you know, I think we've actually spoken about this a reasonable amount in that a lot of players actually say, oh, you know, nerves, you shouldn't let things bother you, you should just focus on the game.
Nonsense.
And it's like, no, like nerves messes with you to a large extent. And again, I mentioned that, you know, players going in as the underdog, you know, everything to gain, not a lot to lose to a certain extent in terms of just beating Sivka in Swiss. But this is huge. Like, I think he was just like, okay, I'm ahead. I'm very ahead in this matchup. I just need to do this right. And it's just like very much like, do I do this? Do I not? And I think second guessing yourself is something very common from lesser experienced players. Because I know I do it a lot of time where I'm like, I make a play and go, oh, huh. And then, you know, you have a double think. But a lot of the time, if you sit and second guess yourself too much, you end up taking worse plays because the natural play is often the correct one.
Yeah, I felt that was true of Pool 8. I didn't feel it's so true of, Liveon, just because he is somebody who is like, this isn't him with nothing to lose. This is him with everything to gain that is almost like losing. So because he's looked for this for a long time. He's always like, why aren't I on stream? That sort of thing. Not why aren't I on stream. He's not like that. But you always see
Get me on the stream.
You're always talking to him. He's always some sort of score like 5-2 or 5-3, and he's I'm not quite on the stream sort of level.
Just a note, Liveon did not threaten us to get on the stream.
No, he's actually really chill about that sort of thing.
Like, I'm not going to say there aren't players that have ice in their veins and just honestly aren't affected by being on stream, right? Like, I'm sure there are anomalies out there that don't feel nervous when they're in front of an audience, but I've competed in front of live audiences for over half of my life at this point.
Sword doesn't have a soul.
And the first time you do it, you feel it. I don't care who you are. For the most part, whenever you step out of your natural environment of just playing Hearthstone in your bedroom or your office or whatever it is, and then you come out and do it live, it's a very, very different feeling. And it's not a thing that we've just made up to tell you guys a story. It actually has a genuine effect on people.
100%. But yeah, it's kind of nuts. I did feel a little bit bad. But did you watch the end of Nyria versus Pool 8? With the Rogue?
I did not see a great deal of that series.
Okay, so Nyria was playing Rogue, and he was doing all the things you love in Miracle Rogue. He, like, swashbuckled into Antonidas. He got a buck into more spells, so he ended up with tons of fireballs. He's playing against Mage.
Okay.
Tons of fireballs. He's setting this up, getting them. Pool 8 had Alex Straza in hand for most of the game. And then, like, one of the last draws was, it already had Ice Block up. One of the last draws was just, like, Frostbolt, Fireball, Frostbolt. So we just went, get him.
Ended
I was like, no, the game was so cool. And then you just, like, Alex Straza into the Lethos, like, and there was nothing he could do about it. And we were talking, how long does it take for Rogue, maybe next expansion because of new cards, to just put a bit of healing in the deck? One Farseer, maybe, because one Farseer would have won Nyree the game.
Right.
Because there was the 15 damage, but Nyree had like 100 fireballs.
Yeah.
So it's just like...
And it was a similar situation in the second series, right, where it was there was a Vine Cleaver and it was just too much damage to push through. It's just kind of that rogue damage permanence thing overall. But just recapping the first series just a little bit more, because we haven't really covered it that much. I believe the story was just like a, almost not reverse sweep, but it was like 1-0 and then a straight sweep with Mage from there to go through. What type of Mage was Paul Late running?
It was the Freeze Gunter style. Nice. It was just, you know, Medivh was there, all the usual wrappings, but then it was Frostnova's Doomsayers, which actually played a big role in the series as a whole. A couple of big Doomsayers got off in some of the games, and they made, you know, significant impact. So I was saying to Lorinda earlier, I'm more and more liking that list of just the power of Frostnova Doomsayer against almost any deck.
Seems good. J-Druid and Gunter Mage are seeming to be the two big breakouts as we try and work out this fresh meta due to the Quest Rogue nerf. But that is round 3, almost in the books. There may be some players out on the floor still finishing up their games, so we're going to wait for all that to wrap up, and then we'll be right back with you to start commence round number 4 here at the Hearthstone Grand Prix, DreamHack Valencia.